There's a silent infrastructure that holds a nation together. Not just the roads or the power lines, but the systems that connect letters to loved ones, businesses to customers, and governments to their people. Once upon a time, in a country, we found strength being measured by how far a letter could travel, from the crackle of paper to the clank of metal mailboxes. NIPOST was Nigeria's outlet, that quiet secretary system that moved ideas, contracts, memories, and mandates. But the world has shifted today. We no longer just move letters. We move data, we move commerce, and we move identity. So now the question is, not how can this NIPOST right now deliver what it has to deliver in this generation? What will it be delivering to the young people that make up the major population of the nation today? These are some of the questions we are going to be asking. We want to ask, how has NIPOST continued to evolve in a world of emails, mobile banking, and the same-day delivery? Can the postal system become the engine of digital citizenship, financial inclusion, and national identity? On this note, let me welcome you to The Beam, where curiosity stirs conversation, taking us a step further into the future with desire. I'm Sunes Nathaniel, and joining me today to bring light and answer most of these questions is none other than the phenomenal lady who is now in charge of NIPOST. She is the Postmaster General and the CEO of NIPOST, Miss Tola Adeyemi. I hope I got that right. Miss Tola Odeyemi.
Yeah.
All right. Miss Tola Odeyemi. She is our guest today. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's a very huge task. And that's why this episode is very important. It's a very huge task. How do we change the narrative of what NIPOST is or what people thought NIPOST was? How do we revolutionize it? How do we make it modern? Those are the questions we are asking. So our first question is, what is the task been like since you took over? And, how can this current journey, how do you factor the current journey of transitioning to something phenomenal?
Great. Thank you once again for having me here. It's great to be here. So jumping right into your question, how has the journey been? It's been great. It's been phenomenal. Like you mentioned, the Nigerian Postal Service is one of the nation's I call it like a gem of the nation, and sort of unpacking it and redelivering it to Nigerians is the task that I've been doing. And basically the biggest thing is digitization, like everybody asks, is the digitization. And I see it beyond digitization, it's also platformerization, right? And I'll discuss what that means. Basically, everybody thinks that NIPOST is this sort of aged behemoth that Nigeria birthed. In fact, the postal service in Nigeria is actually older than Nigeria, right? It's about 150 years old, predating the entity called Nigeria. But what have we been doing? We've been doing digitization and platforming NIPOST as a national logistics platform. And I'll just discuss a few things that we've been doing. The first thing, and I think one of the things I'm most excited about, is our national addressing and digital postcode. Now, the digital postcode, what we're trying to do is transition us from the static postcode that we have now to what you would find in other climes like the UK postcode or the American zip code, which is a dynamic digital postcode, right? We've done the first phase of it in Abuja here, and we're hoping to roll out the full country by the end of the year. The national addressing, which is a project that sits, the Vice President of Nigeria is the chairman of the Council on National Addressing, and my Honorable Minister, Dr. Olatobosun Tijani, is the chairman of the Technical Committee on National Addressing, and that's one of the things we also want to deliver this year. And I hope I'll be able to speak to the national addressing soon.
Right away.
But I also want to speak. I don't want to miss a few things. So what have we been doing internally? I think about people and processes. So internally, what we're doing, first of all, is we have decades of information that we're digitizing, so we're archiving and sort of uploading the information that we have onto a digital platform with our EDMS. In terms of what we're known for every day, which is mail and logistics, we're doing a lot of things. We have a project that is powered by Paystack, which is probably a pain point for a lot of Nigerians, the ability for Nigerians to pay their customs duties and handling charges for NIPOST. So most people have a contact with NIPOST when they receive a package into the country, right? So we're digitizing that using Paystack. We also have a project that we're doing with Messenger, which is we're doing an aggregated delivery solution through APIs, which allows us to then be able to do things like same-day delivery and expand sort of our market to the whole country and not just keeping to NIPOS assets. Another thing we're doing is rolling out our smart lockers, which is contactless drop-off and pick-up, which are also rolling out across the country. And our e-commerce platform, which is powered by Sendbox, which we're in the last stages of right now. So we're doing a lot of things, which we're platforming our services, right? And what we want to do at NIPOS is we want to be sort of like the last mile delivery partner for anybody, not seeing other players. And everybody always talks about, oh, there are these other players, right? Not seeing all these other players as competition, right? They're not, because we have the reach, right? So we see them as partners in this inclusive economic growth that we want NIPOS to be at the very center of. So just those are some of the things that we're digitizing and platforming at NIPOS.
It sounds very interesting that we're having those platforms come up right now.
Yes.
And it's beautiful because the kids today, the younger ones, even the ones who are getting way older, are moving totally to digital, operations. And so the next question, you said something about addressing, and that's where we're going. One of those bold statements that you really made was to call to the Nigerian police and say, hey, adopt the national addressing system to help fight crime. Can you just explain, how this would work in practical terms and what it will achieve?
So a national addressing system, like I mentioned, there's a council and there's a technical committee working on it. So it's basically, at its very root, it's a platform that ties identity to a location. So identity or an entity, right? So either a person or an entity to a location, right? And it's dynamic, so it can be tied to more than one location. It gives address history and things like that. And in terms of, it's primarily for us, it can help with mail and logistics. So it can help with sort of delivery. It helps with route optimization. But further than that, it also helps with things like urban planning, emergency responses, policing, and security services. Because if we are able to say that this person or this entity is tied to this location, right, then policing is easier, crime prevention is easier, planning is easier. Even things like the national census is easier. You can plan, for states, and this addressing system cuts across both federal, state, and local government. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So what would you think can really be achieved? I mean, and how soon can we really use that to really combat the crimes? I mean, talking about the police angle of things.
The first thing we have to do is the digital postcode, right? Because an addressing system sits on sort of that digital postcode. And then when that is launched, and I don't see it even, I don't want to tie it to just policing or security. And the one thing I love about the kids of today, Gen Z upwards, is that they're able to take something that you produce. So the addressing system is like a platform, right? Where you tie these entities together. And then anybody can use this information to deploy almost anything. So even think about things like, what's this thing called? Robot delivery, drone delivery, emergency services, policing. So I don't want to, it's not policing.
It's not just tied to just security and policing.
It's literally anything where you need the location of a person to deliver even government services to them. Yeah.
So it fits right into the digital economy we're trying to build then?
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next question, because there's so much to ask, because there are so many people who never knew much about NIPOS, and so they are longing to say, hey, what's happening? Let's know. E-commerce space, you talked about that collaboration.
Yes.
You want to build on that, the digital services and those collaborations that you guys have been working with.
I mean, so I will point out our partnership with Sendbox, which is a foremost leader in e-commerce logistics. E-commerce, Sendbox and Smart Locker. So what we're doing is using with Smart Locker, for example, using that service to say that, so for example, what the Smart Locker does is contactless, right? So you have a Smart Locker somewhere, you're here, right? And you need something delivered to you, but you don't want them to deliver it to here, maybe because at the estate there's a gate. So it can be delivered to your Smart Locker. Your Smart Locker sends you a QR code or something, and then you go to that location, just press in your code or your QR code, and it gives it to you. So that way you can do both contactless delivery and pickup. And how is it delivered? So even through our NIPOS messenger aggregated services, you can somebody can drop it off, or if you have something to give to someone or you want it dispatched, you can drop it off there. NIPOS picks it up from there and dispatches it to you last mile. And in terms of e-commerce, one of the things that we really want to do is facilitate that movement and warehousing. So warehousing is something, I mean, everybody talks about NIPOS location, and everybody talks about turning NIPOS location to estates or whatever. But one thing that Nigeria needs, and Nigeria needs in very badly for different commodities, is warehousing. And that's one of the key areas that we want to play into. So both warehousing, backward logistics as well. We're currently doing a project with the Universal Postal Union where we're able to do backward logistics. That's, you deliver something and need to return it. Particularly now where everybody's ordering from different global e-commerce websites, so you're not satisfied with it. The biggest problem in Nigeria is how do you
get it back?
Get it back.
Really
and it's a huge thing. Right now we're working with the Universal Postal Union so that we are able to do that. Also, even in the incoming goods e-commerce from global e-commerce companies, that forward part. So both the warehousing, the customs brokerage, the warehouses. So you have people. So for example, let me give you an example. Somebody needs to order 10,000 items but doesn't have the money to order those 10,000 items. We can, when we're done with the project, and this is in collaboration with the Universal Postal Union, which is our own United Nations for all postal services globally, right? So with our project, you're able to ship it to Nigeria, but it's held in warehousing, and as people order, it is delivered on their behalf. So that way, you don't have to onboard that huge cost, so like a bonded warehouse thing, and then people can either order from you, and then you fulfill those orders, as well as the backward delivery part of it. So just one of the many examples of the things that we're trying to do in e-commerce. And the good thing about that is that anybody in Nigeria, right, any e-commerce company or logistics company can take advantage of that project once it is signed off and delivered.
Wow, I mean, you guys should make more noise about some of this. I'm sure many young people don't even know that, especially when it comes to that return. How do I return it back to China if it came all that way?
Yeah.
So you're just saying, okay, I will just use it like that, basically, but you cannot.
So that's one of the, we've seen that that's a real market need, and we went back to our union, and the union fortunately has a project for that. And so right now we're in the process of getting that signed off so that we have the ability to do that, because there's some coding, some sort of, there's a technology that we need to be able to do that for the e-commerce giants.
All right, that's great. Okay, let's move on. You said there have been talks about, potentials to generate over 10 billion naira annually. And so the question will be, are we on track to achieve this? And, what strategic steps are being made to see that this come into fruition?
So actually, we actually surpassed 10 billion last year.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Great! Wow!
Last year, that was just by digitizing some of our processes, plugging leakages. But in terms of how do we even want to achieve this 10 billion and beyond? Because I think even for the Nigerian Postal Service, 10 billion is a scratch on the service. So we look at it, and I try to put our services in 4 buckets. So I'll start first with the mail and logistics, our traditional business, right? One of the things that we lost market on was outbound, right? Which was where we were not able to move, satisfy customer needs because things were spending 2, 3, 4 months, right? Prior to, 2, 3, 4 months. But what we've done now, we've signed direct agreements for the first time in over a decade with some of our primary partners, KLM, KLM for Western routes, and then sort of Ethiopian for more like African and Eastern routes, right? And so that has completely crashed our delivery times, and we've seen an uptick in customers coming back who want to send things out of the country. Again, with some of our projects with Sendbox and with Messenger, so that even our internal delivery systems, boosting them up so that we're able to satisfy again. So we now have AirPost Express. We're back to our 24-hour delivery service for some states. So any state that has an airport, we're able to deliver within 24 to 48 hours. So that's some of the things in mail and logistics. Again, one of the interesting projects that I really, really love is our project with NACA, the National Agency for Control of AIDS, where we are working with them for biospecimen transportation across the country. Right now, we've piloted in Abia and Taraba. So as the Dakar is collecting samples, we're not going into health logistics, right? Then financial services. NIPOS has two very key licenses. We have the International Money Transfer Operator license as well as Super Agent license, which so the IMTO license Do you need to do something?
Yes, we have to take a break now.
Okay, I'll come back with IMTO.
Yes, we will come back to
All
that.
right,
Thank you very much. Okay.